All right, welcome back. Just to set the stage for this, in the previous video and lab, we had the opportunity to have you practice the initial configuration of the ESXi host, ESXi1. In this video, what it's going to be is a walkthrough. It's going to be fairly quick, and if you need any additional insight or detail, I'd have you go back to the previous 5 or 6 videos as part of this set, where we walk through each individual component with great detail. In this video, I just want to walk you through from soup to dessert, a walkthrough of the lab that I gave you in that last video. So without further ado, here is Keith Barker doing the lab. Here we go. And for this lab, I'm just going to show you the entire screen so you can see everything I click and everywhere I go the entire time. So I'm going to go to ESXi1 to start with, which is just booting up. All right, so I'll press enter to continue, F11 to accept. The first drive is selected. We'll go ahead and press enter to go ahead and choose that. I'm going to use a US default keyboard. I'll supply the lab password a couple times, and then press enter to continue. And then F11 to install. And I'm going to edit out a little bit of this while we're just waiting for the install to continue. But anything that I configure or do will definitely include in this walkthrough. All right, the initial install is almost done. Great. I'm going to press enter to reboot, and we are one step closer to getting the install completed. So it's now loading the newly installed ESXi software on the host. And in the background, once it's initialized, it'll be looking for an IP address via DHCP, but there's no DHCP server. So it's going to end up with an automatic private IP address assignment in the 169 range. Okay, it is good to go. So right now it shows zeros for the IP address. We'll hit F2. I will supply the lab password and press enter. Here's the direct console user interface. I'll configure the management network. The IPv4 configuration is static, and it's 192.168.1.101. Down arrow, the mask is 255, 255, 255.0. Down arrow, default gateway is 192.168.1.1 based on our plan. Press enter, and then go down to DNS and specify that we want to use a specific DNS server. Arrow down, and then specify what that server is. 192.168.1.100, which is our Windows server, and the local host is going to be ESXi-1. Press enter, and then to custom DNS suffixes, we'll add nuggetlab.com and press enter. All right, we'll hit escape. Say yes for it to restart the management network, and then we'll quickly test it by arrowing down to test management network and pressing enter. It'll ping its default gateway, it'll ping the DNS server, and do name resolution based on ESXi-1. All that looks good. We'll press enter, and now we can go to the host client and finish the rest of our configuration. So we'll click on DCNUG, and click on the screen here to go ahead and supply the password and log in as administrator. We'll open up Chrome, and then connect to 192.168.1.101. That's going to redirect us to HTTPS at that same address. We'll click on Advanced and Continue because this computer doesn't trust that self-signed certificate. We'll log on as root using the host client. We'll supply the lab password and log in. In the lab, I'm going to click on No for the offer to join the Customer Experience Improvement Program. Click on OK. And then I'm going to go right to Manage for this ESXi host under System. Go down to time and date, and have it become an NTP client by clicking Edit NTP Settings, specify I want to use NTP, specify I want to start and stop with the host, and then go ahead and specify our NTP server, which is our Windows server, and click on Save. And then we can force that if we want by going to Services, going to NTP, clicking on Start, and clicking on Refresh here if we want to, and then going back to System, and going back to time and date and doing refresh here, and hopefully it will have started. There we go. Now it's running. Fantastic. So NTP is set. Oh, we also wanted to enable SSH. So I should have done that at the DCUI, or I could have done that at the DCUI, but let's do it here. We'll click on the host, click on Actions. Under Services, we'll click Enable SSH. Now that's enabled. And I think that's it. So we have IP address, DNS, and NTP. And we can test SSH right here. We can go ahead and just open up PuTTY and connect via SSH to port 22 at 192.168.1.101. And that looks great. We're connecting. So it's confirming the fingerprint. We'll click on Yes, and then we can log on as root and with our lab password, which I will paste in, press enter, and we are in. Fantastic. I'll go ahead and close that session. And if you want more practice, guess what? In the lab, there's 3 more ESXi hosts, ESXi 2, 3, and 4. So if you want to practice on a few more and you've got the lab open, go for it. And check this out. Guess what we get to do? In the next set of videos, we're going to focus on vCenter and using the vCenter server appliance, being able to deploy that from scratch and then bring in the sheep. We're going to bring in all the ESXi hosts in our environment, in the lab environment, and have them all be managed by vCenter. So that's what we have to look forward to in the next set of videos. So I very much look forward to seeing you in those videos as well. Meanwhile,